Previously on Below Deck Experts.
God, after that dinner last night.
I know.
Jeez. Tzarina.
They're like, we're clearing out the pantry. Here you go.
You want to hang out?
Yeah.
Tzarina? We're pretty cool.
You want to be on our show?
Yeah, be on our show. We never ask anybody to be on our show. It's barely a show.
We have fun.
Hi.
Hello guys, how are you?
Maybe you can answer this, maybe you can't, but I'm going to ask.
And I don't think you should interrupt people's journey and mental health journeys. To tell the truth, I did apply for Married at First Sight. And I can understand that stepping on board when you are not 100% healed is going to be really, really shocking. As long as we can play like Anaconda by Nicki Minaj, I could just go for it.
Have you ever hooked up with anybody from Below Deck?
Well, that wasn't on the show.
Okay, guys. Oh my gosh, so exciting. Look who we have with us today. This is so incredible. We have Tzarina from Below Deck Down Under. What seasons? All the seasons, right? No.
No, two and three. Unfortunately, wasn't on number one.
I always associate you and Aisha with being on every season, but that wasn't the case. Was Aisha on every season too? Or no?
Well, no, she did 1 and 2 of Down Under, and then obviously we had Lara this season.
Yes, we did. Okay. So this interview is just kind of gonna be light and fun, right? We're not gonna talk too much about all of the drama that's been going on. We are really just excited to talk to Tzarina about cooking, number one, because if you've ever watched our show, we kind of focus on that. We love when Below Deck features the food. And then we'll just kind of get into some mental health stuff because, as I've mentioned a couple times on the podcast, I'm a therapist and we love to talk about that stuff. And Tzarina's been such a good advocate for ADHD and neurodivergency, especially with this last season. So, all right, Tzarina, let's just have you kind of introduce. I mean, clearly anybody who's watching this is probably going to know who you are.
Well, Chef Tzarina, who always cries in the galley. Here she is.
No, you don't. You're always the boss in the galley.
Yeah, I guess you don't see me crying in the walk-in fridge and coming out like I'm fine. It was a nice edit.
The end, what was it? I think it was maybe the last or the second to last episode when you were wearing the chef hats. Like, you can't be sad in one of those hats.
So obviously, the reason how I got connected to you guys is they were basically sending me your podcast going, Tzarina, if you're feeling shit, you really need to listen to these guys. So that's how I discovered you. Yeah. But when you said that about the hats, when I watched that episode that you guys did, it just threw me back to my ADHD now. Sorry, me. Yeah. It threw me back to this theory that I have, and this might be a not so PG-13, but every time I dress in sexy lingerie for a guy, I end up crying or there's an argument or something embarrassing happens, and I've never had a smooth sailing of it. And so I have this theory that if you put outfits on, then something really shit's gonna happen. So when you said it, I was like, well, yeah, because this adds up to my theory that this is why I never dress sexy for anyone. Because every time I make an effort, it just ends up in an argument or something,
In your sexy chef hat.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty sexy. We actually found them at I probably should have done some more digging on my first day to see what was on the boat, but we found them around the end. At least Lucia and I were like, oh, we're gonna wear them.
It was so good because you guys didn't even call them out or anything. Yeah. It just showed you guys wearing them like it was normal.
Suddenly we're just there hi guys. It did make me think though, and this is going to be a bit bitchy to say, but the pack of these hats was so big, probably over 200 of these hats in there, and it made me think, with the weevils and all the state that the kitchen was left in to get handed over, I just imagined this like really fat chef, like, oh, if I put this hat on and I'm a professional chef, like I just imagine him like, now I'm a chef, like,
The
like, oh,
weevils, oh
clean your
my
kitchen,
God. The
different
weevils.
options.
That was crazy. That
Yeah.
those bugs. Oh my God. And you had to like single-handedly clean that entire thing to get those bugs out.
Oh, it's yeah, it was gross. I felt like everything I pulled back, I was like, oh
Yeah.
no. Because the thing about weevils is that they can eat through plastic and cardboard and everything. So you really do have to chuck every single thing away, apart from maybe the tins. But then even around like jars and stuff, those edgings, they can like lay eggs. So if you do open it, like
Ugh.
something could get, and I was just like, it was just like when I work on a normal boat, if we're having like a changeover or whatever, and there's stuff left over, I always take it to like the local women's shelter, and I
Yeah.
never let any waste happen on a yacht. I always like, study, okay, that's where the closest women's shelter is. Everything we're giving away is going straight there, like old pots and pans, clothing, bedding, anything that a boat gets rid of, straight to the women's shelter. So for me to have to
Yeah.
actually chuck things away, I was like breaking inside, but something just has to switch inside where it's like, well, this is either going to be the boat being tented and the whole of the season's over,
Yeah.
or we actually have to work really hard to get this done. And yeah, Anthony really stepped up to the game as well, like scrubbing till the end of the night. You had to bleach everything.
Ugh.
Like it was not what you needed at the beginning when you should be prepping food, because then we had to redo the order all over again. So I think I was
Yep.
up to like 4 o'clock in the morning having to reorder like a baseline order, because
Yep.
everything's off the boat. So every single salt, pepper, grain, spice, everything has to be completely redone.
Yeah. That's
And
insane.
it takes, especially being dyslexic, when I'm like, how do you spell peppercorn? Pepper, pepper.
Right.
And then my ADHD is like, pepper, pepper, salt and pepper, shake it, shake it.
And it's 5 minutes later, and you're like, what was I doing in this process?
And then I'm like, oh, I should probably bleach something right now. Or should I get lip filler next week?
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just kind of go into some of just the questions. We wanted to get more on your, and I'm sure you've been asked these questions a lot, but these are again the questions we are interested in, is your kind of chef background and kind of what got you into being a chef. So let's start off with kind of give us a brief overview of like why you decided to be a chef, how you got to that point, and then how you got to the point of being a chef on a yacht. Like what was the quick journey, I guess.
I mean, to tell the truth, I know you're like quick because I just talk about myself for ages.
No, no, I just don't want you
Make
to
it as
feel
quick
like
as
you have to
possible. We're
tell
on a
us
time, right?
every single thing.
Um, no, I to tell the truth, it was the only thing I could do, and I've always worried like if I ever like lose something in my hands or a finger or whatever, like the only thing I could do was cooking, and I tried everything as a kid. I was a high school dropout. Went to my mum said at like 14, 15 that I had to go and do something, so I did half hairdressing school, half cooking school. Not a hairdresser. No, 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 no. That did not
I
last
couldn't do
long.
that either.
No.
No, I think I dyed someone's hair green. I was like, whoops.
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 I was like, your highlights are looking great, just don't look.
Take my
So
word for it.
it was one failure after another, basically, until suddenly something switched with cooking. And then with my ADHD, that was seemed to be the only thing I could focus on and enjoy. So I always say, like, I didn't pick cooking, it just picked me. I never thought I'd be a chef,
Yeah.
but it just happened. And then because of how quickly my brain works, and you get so excited about something, I was like jumping from restaurant to restaurant, like all different types, wanted to learn all different types of cuisine, and then by the time I was 21 I was a head chef.
Jeez, that's awesome. The
Yeah,
thing,
and then I
oh,
then I got into private chefing, like private households
okay.
cooking, and then I started my nutrition journey, started studying nutrition and everything about the gut and all the fun stuff I like. And then I did that in a lot of like, I guess like celebrity households. And I
Yeah.
did high-end ski chalets. And then I was a traveling private chef where my boss had, I think, 3 yachts and about maybe like around 20 houses around the world. And I'd have to travel with him. And then I found that it was really lonely.
Mhm.
And every time I went onto the yacht, the chef would become my sous chef. I would have a guest cabin very close to my boss, always, because we traveled together, we did everything together. Like I was always around the kids and everything. But then I noticed that like my whole life was dedicated to him. And every time I went onto these boats, if I went to the crew area, there would be like, like, don't talk to her, she'll go and tell the boss, sort of thing. And I was getting closer and closer to my 30th birthday. So like a month ago. And and I basically was like, I don't want to celebrate my 30th birthday alone.
Yeah.
So I left that job and got into the yachting industry. And then I think it was after like 4 or 5 years, it was my 30th birthday. And, and got loads of secrets are coming out today. And and then yeah, I my 30th birthday, I had a table, I think, of around like 30, 40 people there, of just people I met in the last like 4 years in the yachting industry, and I wasn't alone. Because
Yeah.
my 21st birthday I was alone. But I was
Mhm.
always focused on work, so I kind of wanted my 30th to be something nice.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. And I don't think people think
Um,
about that, right? When you're in kind of like the private chefing, it sounds so awesome, right? Because you're like, I'm sure, yeah, it's good money and you're working for someone and it's in a nice kitchen and things like that, but you don't think about how you're alone, like
yeah,
your
really,
job
like it was
is
so
being alone.
lonely. Because the job before that as well, I did it, and my ex-girlfriend, we did it as a couple's job.
Mhm.
And there's so many secrets today. And so yeah, so my ex-girlfriend and I actually did it before I went independently. And to be honest, it was actually even worse, because then you're working and traveling with your partner,
Yeah.
and and then also women's problems as well, like Jesus. But it made me respect men a lot more. But
Mhm.
no, every relationship I've had with a woman's been very, very lovely,
Yeah.
and lots of learning. But
Yep.
yeah, it was actually more difficult doing it in a relationship than actually independently.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just so lonely and isolating,
Yeah.
because as you know, like, we just don't get breaks. I remember with my boss, I think like 5 months passed, and I was like, "Hi, sir. Like, would it be possible if I maybe had an afternoon off?" And he had to be like, "When was the last time you had a break?" I was like, "So kind of like never." Yeah, you
Yeah. No.
know. He was like, "Great. Why do you take the morning off as well?" I'm like, "Oh, one whole day in 5 months. You're so generous, sir. Thank you so
Yeah,
much."
thank you so much. You're obviously thinking about
And
me.
then all day they're messaging like, "How do they work the oven? How do I order this food?" And you're like,
Uh-huh.
I might as well just come in and cook.
Uh, no, going back to what you were saying, I thought of my best friend Chelsea is bisexual. Well, I don't even know how she would identify herself right now, but she always calls herself a retired lesbian.
That's what she said. I was trying to think of it.
You said that, I was like, that's my friend Chelsea. Because she's now dating more men, and she's like, I'm a retired lesbian. We're like, okay, Chelsea, like,
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like I don't even really know what I am. I fall in love with the person. It doesn't really
yeah,
matter what gender or color of the rainbow that you are. It's about who the person is inside. So I could really end up with anyone, you
yeah,
know. But
yep. And
I
I
do like
honestly,
retired lesbian. That might be my future. If I find my nice Jewish
fully believe
husband and
her.
get that farm I want. Anyone out there? Me, great.
No, I
Baby cows.
fully like I fully think that that is the human race, that like it is just you should be attracted to the person, and there's so many factors that go into it, and sometimes we put ourselves in boxes. So I like that.
Yeah,
I
I know.
agree.
I mean, I've got a lot of girlfriends who are like, "No, I only like dick." Am I allowed to say that on here? Sorry. They're like, "I just love a
No, we
big
cuss
dick."
all the time. It's fine.
And and um and I'm like, "But have you tried that kebab? Like, you just got to give it a go.
How
You
do you know?
just take a dip, take a dive."
Oh my gosh. Well, cool. So I never knew that. I really didn't know your cooking background. And so,
Mm.
and maybe you said this and I missed it, but how did you get from like learning how to be a chef and like working in restaurants to then kind of transitioning to that higher level, like the luxury type? Like, was it just kind of a natural progression, or was that your goal of like, I want to be in the high level private chefing industry?
Yeah, I think especially when I was younger and I had more passion
Yeah.
and energy, you know, that
Right.
was like, you know, when I didn't get a stitch from walking down the stairs, it was a bit different. Um, but yeah, I kind of always wanted to thrive, to like try and be the best and showcase myself.
Okay.
And I think coming from, I actually spoke about this in a podcast on Monday, but I do think my drive came from, you know, from my childhood, everyone told me I'd be nothing. I was a high school dropout. Everyone's always, oh, well, what's Zarina going to do? I had teachers tell me, well, yes, okay, you'll probably just marry rich, or, oh, you know, like, yeah, or like maybe daddy can look after you or whatever. And there's never like anyone being like, oh, she's going to be an artist, she's going to be this or anything, apart from my grandparents being like, she'll be an actress. Because acting and modeling, obviously modeling runs in our family.
They weren't wrong.
They were wrong. That's obviously handed down. Uh, but yeah, I think just because I was put down so much,
Yeah.
it was kind of like something switched in my brain, being like, "Watch me."
Mm-hmm.
I think something just switched in me over the years, being like, for everyone that you ever said that I couldn't, which was basically every teacher, every kid at school. You know, like who would be the most unsuccessful Tsarina, because I was just this ADHD, dyslexic, like voracious, like biter. You know, I was a biter as a child. I was, and I've grown out of that through lots of therapy, which
Breaking
we
news.
can speak about on a different podcast.
That's going to be the title of this. Zarina is the fighter.
I live. Oh God, no! It was bad. It was bad. Like, I was out of control in ADHD, but like, but I feel like I found my focus now because now I can bite into food whenever I like.
There you
You know. So,
go. Well, and we talked about like, so we'll kind of like weave in like the ADHD discussion. So I was going to say this earlier when you were talking about how like you felt like cooking was the only thing, right? And I feel
yeah.
like when you are neurodivergent, when you are dealing with ADHD, you do have to do something creative. And I think, I mean, you would probably agree, cooking is creative, right? Because you don't have to follow a rule book, right? You don't have to, if you're like, oh, let's do this, let's try this. Like that's kind of what chefing is. And so for people with ADHD, like even people maybe listening that are like struggling with the same thing you did, right? Of like, what am I gonna do? I can't focus on anything. It's like, what would you tell that person? Would you say find something creative, find something, I guess, what advice would you give that person?
For me personally, it's just if you have the time and space and maybe a bit of the finances, I guess, especially in America and these days you have to pay for everything.
Mhm.
But it's not being afraid to fail. And if you fail at something, celebrate it
There you go.
and just keep trying. And if you, let's say you try something for 5 days, you don't like it, great, it's not for you. Because you would know as soon as you start doing something, even if it's like a 2 day cooking course, a 1 day painting class or something that is creative, you know, just keep giving these things little goes when you can like just go on Groupon and see what's available, a pottery class, like why not? And just see what it is that suddenly you go, oh, I was really fixated on that, and that gave me oxytocin and dopamine. And this is nice. This is a nice feeling. Then focus on it and just get excited about failing.
Yeah,
I was always put under so much pressure as a child. Like, oh, you failed that exam, you failed this, you failed that. And I was just always failing at everything. And now every time I come up with a business plan or something or get fired from a job, I'm like, next,
yeah,
and it makes you so much stronger for what's to come in the future, because unfortunately like there's this stigma around failing when it should be celebrated. you
exactly. I
know Fail,
completely 100% agree. I mean, I talk to my
failing
clients
is
about,
a second chance. Yeah.
yes, yep. Well, and like you just said, you like hit the nail on the head of like, because I talk to people about this day in and day out of like, with ADHD, I can't focus on anything. And you start to get this negative self-talk about yourself, right? Like other people can do this, why can't I? But
Yeah.
it really does come down to not being afraid to fail, like you said, of like, yeah, if you try something for 5 days and you don't like it, cool. Why is that a bad thing? You know what I mean? Like you've
Yeah.
discovered you don't like that thing. You will find your thing. I think people with ADHD or neurodivergency feel ashamed, of like, I
Yeah.
feel like everybody else can do this. Why can't I? And then that, you just don't have the drive to keep trying. But I love the way you put that because I completely agree.
Yeah. It's just, well, you will know this. You're the actual therapist in this group right now. Sorry, mate.
All
Focus
good.
is off you unless there's something you want to bring to the table. Um, but how many comments is it in your childhood that you get before you're 7 years old? Like negative comments as an ADHD or neurodivergent person?
I
It's
have,
something ridiculous, like, like 75,000 negative comments, like before you're 7 years old or something. Like, oh, she's just wild, or he's just that, or oh yeah, and just you're put down, put down, put down. And for me, I'm just at the stage where it's like, oh, or why don't, like, instead of giving us a pill to calm down because you can't, you know, deal with the fact that I can't sit in a classroom for 8 hours a
right.
day, like, why am I doling like your like myself just because you want to show your sparkle, which takes you so much to get, when for us it comes naturally,
Yep.
like, just, yeah, there's something seriously wrong with the schooling system. I was very lucky because I went to a Waldorf Steiner school, so I had the options of picking stuff like, I want to do woodwork, I want to do pottery, I want to do art, I want to do basket weaving, and I got all these really strong, like really strange qualifications
Yeah.
in things that you don't have in the normal schooling system. But
Yeah.
put me in a math class or an English class, and I'm staring out the window,
I
you
know.
know.
And I completely agree. We don't set people up to succeed. And
Yeah.
like you said, the negative self-talk or the negative talk from others then turns into negative self-talk, like we were talking about, of like, yep, I can't do this. And then it just spirals from there, right? And you're
Yeah.
right. Not everybody's designed to sit in a classroom and learn English and math. And so no, I completely agree. I think there's a lot that we could change that,
Yeah.
because
But
sometimes,
the thing is, like, but so many people are designed like that. So
yes.
focus on that, but just let's have a change up for
Yeah.
us neurodiverse people to do something more creative. I just feel like it's so simple. Like, you split people up in different classes anyway, being like intermediate math, like
Mhm.
middle math and lower bar math, or just do math for the people who are good at it, and then the other people put in a pottery class.
Yeah, I know. I know. It seems too
Ooh.
simple, right? It's too simple. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh gosh, what a stupid idea.
I know. Don't get me started, but
Oh,
um,
Yeah. I
we'll
will.
have a different vocal about
right.
this.
Okay, so let's kind of transition into some below deck questions. Some
Yeah.
we put together. So let's start off with, if you are you open to doing below deck again? If not, if you're like, no, that's not for me, would you ever do any other type of reality show?
I of reality show. Ooh, I mean, I the thing about Below Deck is that I guess it makes you feel like you're part of something. And
Hmm.
so, like, the transition of being like, oh, I'm not picked or stuff, like, it is a lot on like the mental health, because you feel like you're part of something so incredible, because Below Deck is incredible. Like, it's such a good show. I mean, it wouldn't be up to me to go and do it again anyway. Like, you do get picked, but um, I would actually have to ask my therapist, because before doing anything big, I have to check in with my therapist and she would tell me if I'm in the right state to do something.
That's
But
good.
I mean, I had a really good session with her yesterday, though, and I think I'm working on. This is the thing. I'm working on something else at the moment, which
Okay.
is more, but it's not reality TV, but it's
Okay.
something a bit, well, very, very different, but still hopefully will be extraordinary. And I'm about to have my second call for it tomorrow, actually. So I'm praying that everything lines up. Otherwise, I'm going to buy a farm, get lots of mini animals, and just live off the land. So there's two options. There's two paths I go through in life right now.
Yes.
But
Yes.
reality TV, to tell the truth, I did apply for Married at First Sight.
Oh, that
I
would be
did
interesting.
because I I'm in my and I'm like, I was like, well, I should probably find a husband. And like, I'm kind of at this stage where I'm like, if at this stage I haven't found one, then I probably need some professionals to help me. And watching it, it does generally feel like they like match up personality types and stuff. So maybe they would have found me someone that would match up with with this, like but yeah, didn't take me, but that's fine. Not upset about it at all. But to tell the truth, I think if I was doing like any sort of reality TV, I think something like The Traitors, or my family really wants me to do something like I think it's called like Dancing with the Stars or something.
Oh my God, I love both of those. You should do both of those.
I mean, well, obviously still not up to me, but tag them. But I'm
Yeah.
like
Oh my gosh, you should.
I'm not the best at dancing, so I feel like it would just be like a new challenge for me. And I can, as long as we can play like Anaconda by Nicki Minaj, I can just go for it. I just think, and then I'll
That's
be
the
out probably
best.
first round, and I'll be like,
No,
like,
no, the
why is
best
that
people on
skinny
that
Jewish white
show.
girl trying to twerk to Nicki Minaj? I'm like, hey.
No, there are not always good dancers. I feel like there's like different types, right? There's the celebrities that can dance, whatever, that's great. There's the ones that definitely can't, they know nothing. And then the ones like I feel like you would be like fun, willing to learn, that would probably get better throughout the season. So that would be awesome. Has
Well, you
anybody
never know. I could win it. So let's
You
tag them.
could.
I mean, I
Yep.
could get. I don't know if I'm at that stage of like celebrity yet. I'm still in like the D's of the G's, but maybe we get up a little bit higher.
Okay.
No, that would be really cool. I love the Traders too. The Traders is so good. If you could get on that.
The only thing about the traders, though, that if I got made into a trader, being neurodivergent, we're not very good at lying,
Yeah.
and it's all over our face. So I just feel like I'll be there, like, oh no. And I just think I don't actually think like Kate Chastain is so good because she just has this like
Yes.
she's like a poker face all the time,
Yep.
But me, Jesus Christ, can you imagine? And they'll be like, "Are you the trader?" And I'll be like. So
No.
basically, I'm going to tell you.
So,
And then like a
but
raccoon will
that
come
in
into
and
the
of itself,
story.
that could be a tactic, right? Because they'd be like, Zarina's so bad at this, she might actually not be a trainer.
My mother always said
Oh,
to me, like, the
bad.
only godsend with the childhood was the fact that, I just can't lie. Like, she just written all over my face. She's like, Zarina, did you eat that? I'll be like, mm. And she just know, like, I just can't, like, my face just can't hide it. And I've had so many injections in my face now that should mean that you won't be able to see it. But oh no, my eyes just tell you
No.
something. I can't frown, but you know.
Yes. No, I feel you. I'm not a great liar either. I'm in my head about it, I'm like, they can tell, they can tell. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I,
um,
I I think it'll be like, I think my therapist would probably be like, maybe not the traitors, because I'll just be like, oh God, everyone knows. I'm gonna disappoint everyone. Oh God.
see, I don't know, because like this last season, I don't know if you watched the US one, Bob the Drag
Mm.
Queen was like one of the first people out, and he is great at like acting, and he was a traitor, and it like backfired on him because he was like overdoing it. So you're
Oh.
not giving yourself enough credit. You might make it a few weeks.
Okay.
Few weeks.
Do I still get paid for those three weeks here? Because otherwise, I mean, like,
Maybe. I don't know.
okay. Have to make it worth my while.
Yes. Well, cool, cool. Okay, well, we're excited to see what's coming up. That'll be exciting.
Yeah.
You want to ask the next question? You've been pretty quiet
Yeah,
over the.
I
It's just here for the
I
vibe.
think he's just mesmerized at the fact that the last time he saw me, I was not showered for 3 days, and I actually have my hair and makeup done. And he's just in shock, being like, "Is this the same person?"
What's this?
who is this? Honestly, I forgot I was on camera. I was just watching a
Did you
podcast.
have an edible before, and now it's just kicking in?
Oh, that wouldn't be good.
No, I would have to talk to my sponsor about that.
Yes, just have to get a sponsor by an edible company.
So along with the below deck, who is the best friend you've made on the show?
I mean, I actually spoke to Asia yesterday. Like, I just love her so
Yeah.
much. But I think if you're saying like on the show and people that I worked with on the show, like it has to always be hands down her. Like she's my sort of person. But the incredible thing about Below Deck though is like because it's all like I guess trauma bonding, we all like kind of find each other on on like social media and stuff and like how's your season doing? And you know, because I've been in it for about 3.5 to 4 years now and so many new franchises and seasons being introduced, I've actually made incredible friends of people from different franchises and also like, you know, I had Thanksgiving with Kate Chastain the other year, you know, and got to hold a little baby. And, you know, it's just, it does just bring people together, which is really amazing because it's like, I guess it's like an honor that you are part of something so incredible. And, you know, you can only really share your real stories with the people who are actually involved with it because they're the only people that would actually understand. So I'm really lucky that like the amount of friends that I've even got from other franchises and even Joe and I, who know Joe, the man whore from Mediterranean.
Yeah, remember Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember Joe.
Like even I think 2 days ago I messaged him being like, bro, for over a year now we've just been like talking and we keep saying that we're gonna set up a video call, but we message like almost like every week, like just checking in on each other and stuff, like what adventure you up to. And we just I basically said to him, like, mate, how are we meant to be best friends and we haven't even had a video call or met in person? You
Right.
know?
That's
Like
crazy.
yeah, just so many people. And also the new season that started now, I've had quite a few of them slide into my DMs
Mhm.
asking for a bit of advice. I guess I'm classified as an oldie and experienced in this now. So all the new ones are running to me and I'm like, come here, my babies. This is my
Yes.
therapist. Come join. Come join the journey.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Maybe you can answer this, maybe you can't, but I'm gonna ask. What are your thoughts on Chef Lawrence?
So I'm in Spain, so I haven't actually watched the episodes, but I've just seen the clips.
Dang, so you
But
haven't watched the
so
full?
Lawrence is the one that Anthony's just taken over, isn't it?
Yes. So he
Yeah.
like he made it like what, a
He
charter, barely a charter.
he broke. I know that he broke the fourth wall,
Yes.
and but I think to tell the truth, um, TV isn't meant for everyone, and
Yeah.
he's on his own journey. And I think he opened up to being an addict and now a Christian, and he's on a very different journey. And when you come from Michelin star restaurants, which is high pace, you know, I think a lot of the comments have been like, but he's from Michelin star restaurants, like he should have
Right.
been better than that. It's like, yeah, but he's sober now. And I
Okay.
don't think you should interrupt people's like journey and mental health journeys. And I can understand that stepping on board when you are not 100% healed is going
Yeah.
to be really, really shocking. And also stepping onto any yacht, nothing ever fucking works,
Yeah.
you know, and it's so frustrating. And normally you can just get pissed off on your own, be like, well, that's going to be shit. I can't do that fucking thing now. And blah, 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 blah. You can have this tantrum inside yourself or have it around you or just go up to the captain. And it's very different normally on normal boats because you just go up to the captain and be like, this is fucking bullshit, get me a new oven or I'm done, you know, they'll just get you a new oven. But it's more formal on below deck and you know that you can't do that because you have to say captain, you have to act in a certain way. And I just feel like it is such a big transition going into something like the show and having cameras in your faces. And he just wanted to crack on and just figure out how the hell is he going to do this. And
Yeah.
there wasn't a moment for him to breathe and do it. And so being, you know, I've had to go through my recovery with alcohol and drug abuse from being in the restaurant industry. I understand the anxieties of it. And then obviously on below deck as well, you have all those nights out and the temptation of drinking that I just don't think it was the right time for him. But I think that he is actually an incredible chef, probably, and especially even looking at all his first little bits. But I do feel like in his healing journey that he has to go through over the next few years to get into the right space, he could be something absolutely incredible. It just wasn't quite the right time for him.
Yeah. No, I think that's an incredible answer, and I'm glad we asked you because your perspective as a chef, you would know, right? And I
Yeah.
don't, if you haven't seen, he did rock like that first dinner he did.
Yeah.
They said the guests, so the guests were Indian, right?
Mhm.
He cooked Indian food and they were like, this is like better than my mom made. So he like had really good food. And that's why it was, again, for people that are not chefs, don't work on boats, we're like, what the heck? Like you could have done so well, but now you saying that where it's like, we have to be in the right mindset to, even if you can cook really great, if you're not in that mindset, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, even on Katina, you know, like I walked in, it looked like this big flashy boat. One of my ovens didn't work. I only had small ovens. Only two hobs worked on there. My fridge temperature wouldn't get to the right actual temperature, so we had to be turning around stuff much quicker than usual. And I walked onto literally this piece of shit, and then obviously the weevils and everything.
Oh,
And I
we
just
will.
like I had this moment where I remember I stepped off the boat because I just had to take a breather, took my mic off, told them I was doing therapy because that's the incredible thing about Below Deck is that I
Absolutely.
can, when it's to do with therapy, they do let you just step off and speak to your therapist,
Yep.
which not many reality TV shows do. But I remember after all of that and that first day and like everything fucking broken, like small things like all my non-stick pans weren't non-stick anymore because it's
Mhm.
just old shit. You know,
Yep.
everything was from like I don't think it had an update in like almost 20 years, like everything. So everything was like greasy, sticky, horrible, and not working and dated. And I just remember walking off and speaking to my therapist and being like, in a normal world, I would just walk off and just be like, my standards are too good for this.
Yeah.
But because it's below deck, you're like, but this opportunity is bigger than me.
Yep.
So you have to make it work. So I think that he was in the same headspace. He stepped off and made a decision, and it was the decision that sometimes I feel like I wish I made.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my hat goes off to him for looking within himself and going, this isn't going to be good for me. It's not going to be healthy, and stepping away.
Yeah.
Because with everything I went through that last season, there are definitely moments where I'm like, should I have just left in that moment?
No.
But then I got used to the kitchen. I started finding, you know, and it's again, you know, I failed so many times those first few charters I did. My food wasn't very good. You know, I had the noises of Anthony around me.
Mhm.
I Some of my dishes were fucking terrible, you know. Um, but then suddenly you start getting a roll and you're like, okay, now I understand that that oven goes a little bit higher than this, and this is how this works. And if I do it like this will be able to work. And by the end of the season, I finally got it and managed to end at least with my food ending on a high, you
Yes.
know, but it's just but I've already been through the therapy. I have ADHD. I'm used to failing. So for me, even these shit dishes and stuff, I didn't go to bed going, oh my God, I failed. I wasn't perfect. I'm like, next day will be better.
Yep, exactly. And that's what we have to do, right? Because all that, a lot of that stuff is out of your control, like you just talked about. And I almost wish, I mean, I know it's a TV show. I know we can't see everything. I know that knowing some of this information wouldn't make it as dramatic or whatever, but it's almost like, man, having from the way you put it, I think a lot of people would have more empathy for him, like you said, than what people are saying in the comments and things like that when it below deck or any TV show, I guess, just does make it seem like everything's fine, right? You're on a yacht, everything should work. And there's just so many things we don't see that, again, you
Yeah,
don't
I know. And
want.
it's also like for fuck's sake, like Lara got stuck in a lift and had a fucking panic attack.
Oh, yeah. I,
Like, it's like, are you like, what? This is meant to be a super yacht, but the thing is, it shows the reality of like these yachts really are just piles of shit. They are, they're plastic, fantastic, just flashy, flashy things that, you know, it makes rich people, this is gonna sound terrible, you know, makes rich people feel fancy, and we're there to help them make them feel fancy. But the actual boats themselves, like, look at the anchor chains, look at what all the deck crew have to deal with and everything. It's like, Like, wow, like the things that the crew have to do on yachts is just insane to make sure you give like not just like a 5-star service, but a 7-star service because you're at sea. Like it's crazy.
It
You
is.
know, I still can't believe Lara got stuck in that lift. Like my heart broke for her. It's horrible.
Was that right at the
I
beginning?
Yeah, right at the beginning. I remember when she came out of it, like
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
that's
because
scary. I would,
claustrophobia is like that's a real thing, hey.
yeah.
Like yeah, and
Oof.
especially like you are at sea. It's not like you can be like, hey, can we get the fire department here or
Right.
something? You're in the middle of the sea, stuck in a lift.
Uh, I guess the only thing that would help me in that moment would be like, I know, somebody knows I'm in here.
April spritz. Oh yeah, it's that someone knows that you're in there. Yeah, that's what I
Yes.
said.
Like
Tequila.
I,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's what I said. Same thing. Okay. Kind of going off of the season again. How is your relationship with Captain Jason? Are you guys still talk? Tell us about that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Jason and I like weirdly similar in a way of like our I guess like our more spiritual side and connection and therapy and healing and everything. So I know that he's helping out a lot of the crew members. I'm also trying to help out a lot of the crew members with all the process of everything. But yeah, Jason and I literally spoke, I think, the other day just to check in with each other. And I was like, mental health check, you
Oh,
know. But yeah, I think he's with his daughter now.
okay.
And so he's just having downtime after from obviously filming the last season, Down Under 4. So he's just decompressing from all of that and taking his time. And I'm sure he'll be making more appearances very soon. But it's
Yeah.
very important that after these seasons that you don't jump straight back into it. Like you have to give your time and brain and body to process because when you're filming and it's like you're in this your own special little world and you have to adjust your brain to come back to reality.
Yep.
So yeah, I think he's just taking every single moment he can with Sassy and just yeah,
Awesome.
probably
I love that.
he's probably taking her diving right now.
Uh,
Like,
diving. My husband, Brad, dives, so he
oh
loves
wow.
seeing that on the show and everything like that. And oh, so jealous. I bet they're in somewhere very beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, there are some insane places to dive.
Yes,
Really, really amazing places around the world. We're very lucky in the yachting industry for that.
I know. We always talk about if I would have known yachting was a thing when I was like in my early 20s, for sure I would have done it. Like
Yeah, you
I
would
Mm,
Yeah, I was like from when I was like 20 to 23, 24 I was like traveling a lot and
mm.
if someone came up to me like you could work on a yacht and it's you make money and you get to go these places I'd be like sign me up. I wish I would have watched one episode of Below Deck when I was 21.
yeah.
Oh, I probably would have been out. Yeah, definitely would have been
It
out when
was.
you were
Yeah,
21. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't watch a ton of Bravo. Like it was more like
Mm.
Jersey Shore. All
I
that
love
stuff.
Jersey Shore. Oh, I sometimes watch some replay clips. I'm like, how did
Jersey
this even
Shore.
get let on TV? And why wasn't I on it?
I know.
Like,
Well, you would have been perfect.
and yeah, I wonder what my weird name would have been because they all have a special name for themselves, don't they?
JWoww, Sneaky. Yeah, they all have different names.
Yeah. The
Oh,
Chef of Fire. Mm.
yes.
I love that.
You have the accent. They're all from Jersey. They're Jersey accents.
Really Jersey, yeah, really, really Jersey. A lot of my friends in America are actually from Jersey, and every time I'm like, "Hey, so you ever meet any of the?" And they're like, "No, Tzarina, don't like,
So,
don't go there." I'm like, "So you don't know any of them? Don't want to hang out?" Or okay, cool, cool.
well, yeah, they get that question all the time. You have a Jersey,
All the time,
you must
all the
know
time.
someone from Jersey Shore.
Exactly.
Uh,
That's probably the first thing I asked Brie actually. I was like, wait, where do you say you're from?
yes.
Do you know the situation? And she's like, on this boat right now. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Doesn't
And then
matter.
we forget because I feel like me and you are similar in age. You don't
Yeah,
have to say your age. I'm 32. Um,
that's similar. Yeah.
and I feel like Bree, she's young 20s, right? So she's probably like
Yeah.
Jersey Shore.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, actually, that's probably the truth. Actually, she messaged me yesterday. It was hilarious. I was in bed and I got this call, and then it stopped, and she's going through something a bit at the moment, and I like messaged her back like, is it an SOS? Like, I can get out of bed and talk to you right now. She's like, no, I was meant to text you. I'm having my hair done. I was like, okay, phew, I can go back to sleep. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Oh, cute.
No, Bree's amazing. God, what a babe. What a
Yeah,
babe.
she
Yeah,
seems so sweet.
I thought she was way older than she is, though. Like, she has this maturity
Yeah.
about her. And I think being in the modeling industry and stuff, it makes you grow up quicker. But yeah, it was only until I was in DC with her the other month and she was talking. She was like, I'm 20, blah, blah, blah. And I haven't done this. And I'm like, oh, baby. I was like, oh, God. I was
Oh,
like,
God.
so I probably could have birthed you, first of all, my baby. Um,
I don't want to think about it. Yeah.
yeah, I know. But oh no, she's lovely. So
Yes.
pretty. You should see her hair in real life as well. Like I was
It
always
seems
touching it.
so
So thick, thick, gorgeous red hair. It's thick.
oh, yes. Yeah.
So lucky, lucky girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
God spent an extra 3 days on that one. Yeah.
He took his time.
He took his time on that one. Me,
oh.
he was like a sprinkle of this, a sprinkle of there we go, she's made.
And is it like it's almost like so frustrating when you find someone so gorgeous and they're also like an amazing person. You're like, why do you have it all?
Like,
I always say that about Brie. I'm just like, just be a bitch. Like it's just gonna be easier for everyone else. I'm like, you're just too nice. Like just something. I always ask her like, do you suffer from bad BO or anything? She's like, no, not really. Don't really wear deodorant. I'm like, oh,
Of
you got
course,
like
right?
shaving rash, like anything bad. She's like, no, I don't really. I only had to shave once in 3 weeks. I'm like, cool. All right. You know, you do get sunburnt easily. No, I just go gorgeous cut. Okay, we should just stop. Just like, yeah.
We'll
Right.
stop asking questions.
It's fine. I'm just gonna make myself feel worse.
Yeah. Yep, there's those people. Okay. Juicy question. Again, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. You can give a partial answer. Have you ever hooked up with anybody from Below Deck?
Well, that wasn't on the show.
Would
Like on my season, someone on a
um
different franchise.
I would say, well, you can answer however you want. My question was maybe just anybody from the franchise. But
Yeah. Boy or girl?
either one. I'm not picky.
Yeah, so I won't mention any names, but yeah, I there was a male chef that I was in West Palm Beach with, and we dated for a hot minute, and then something it's just classic yachty style. I was on a date with him, and then my chief stewardess came to the restaurant with us. I had too much to drink and had to go lie down. And then the next day I couldn't get in contact with him and she wasn't on the boat and he ended up sleeping with her. They went to a hotel together.
Oh my God. So
Yeah.
would we know that chief stewardess, or is that someone who hasn't been?
No. She was just on the boat with me in West Palm Beach. And then he was like, yeah, groveling. But I think I gave him like a few more chances. And then I think I properly hooked up with him in Miami like a few weeks later. And then I was
Oh my
like,
God.
to tell the truth, I have to admit, I think I think is probably one of the most psychopath messages I've ever sent to someone in my life.
Oh, you.
Like,
I was saying
I
he
think
meant
I think I have a few glasses of prosecco with me, and I think I fully freaked that guy out like a lot. I
you.
sent him this like probably you know like in Friends like 8 pages, you
Yep.
know,
Yep.
like back to front, whatever it was. I basically sent him one of those but through WhatsApp about like everything how I'm feeling about it and blah 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 blah. And just a drunken ADHD moment of like blah, and I
Yep.
never really heard from
I
him
want to
again
say.
after that. And then yeah, actually almost around the same time I was kind of seeing but that lasted a very much a hot minute, one of the girls from Sailing Yacht.
Ooh, I'll have to think about it. Because hasn't been that many.
No.
Interesting. So it sounds like these people, you kind of dated these people for a little while. It was
Well,
like,
no, I'm talking. This is in yachting, a week feels like a year. So probably
True.
I was about to say his name then. What? The chef. We would have had to do like a beep. Um,
We can do
but
that.
yeah, no, that was probably about like 3 months. And then the girl was probably 2 weeks, and then she did something really psycho, and I was like, yeah, nah. And I had to fly back to the UK anyway.
Dang,
So
cool. Now we're gonna have people be speculating, like, who is it?
I
But
know, but also this is like what, two, three, so yeah, 2 years ago now.
yeah.
Because I've been going through like this self-healing journey, is what I'm telling myself, of sobriety, because no one would take me for 13 months since filming. And I'm gonna say it's because I'm so work focused. But it's been pretty dry this last year, nothing really to touch
Hey,
base on. But I'm just gonna blame it on having a really busy career and not the fact that I'm not lovable. So
no, you are definitely lovable. You are just focusing on you,
yeah, I'm
and
just focusing on me right now.
right,
Yeah.
you it sounds cliche, but you have to learn how to love yourself and support yourself before you invite anybody in, because you know what?
Yes,
Right?
and that is exactly what's happening.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because then you don't settle, right? You don't, you're not like, oh, this person's good enough. Like, no, when you really value yourself, you wait for the person who you're like, yep, I want that person in my life. I'm not settling. It's not
Yeah,
like I need somebody. You know, I'm picking this person, and
this
that's
is literally what I spoke to my therapist about yesterday.
yep,
Like it was basically like what we've just done. You should really
yeah.
become a therapist. Yeah, but
I'll look into
she
it.
was you should really start studying. But no, yeah, she basically was like the bigger you get and the more successful you get as a woman, you kind of get this independency. And because when you're getting to these certain stages, which recently, like I am, like there's so many things in the pipeline right now that could be absolutely life changing for me. You do think, well, if I bring someone in, are they going to push me back? Because the hardest thing I found in dating is, most people I've dated have tried to push me back, like, oh, why don't you have a quiet life or just be at home and just get a job in the cafe down the road? And I haven't ever met someone that helps me propel and lifts me and lets me go and do these things that, yes, do destroy me. And I get utterly exhausted and I come back and I'm nothing, but I need that person that gives me the confidence to get there. And when I come back, there with blankets waiting for me to wrap me up and then help me get my energy back. And then they see me as successful and empowering. And they basically just support this instead of just being like, oh, no, you really need to slow down your life. It's like, no, I need a support blanket that's going to help propel me instead of
Yeah.
an anchor pulling me down. Below deck pun. You are welcome. Anchor pulling me down. I'll let you have
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
that's a quote. That's a good quote. But
And
for
we're
real,
done.
the higher self-esteem, self-confidence you have, the better in dating, right? Because then yeah, you don't settle. You're like, no, that's bye.
Yes.
Like moving on, I deserve
Yeah.
better than that. So
Yeah.
that
So you never know. You never know.
never
Let's
know.
see what happens. If I fail at my career, you'll probably see me married.
No, no, we're gonna see both. You're gonna be super successful. You're gonna be married to someone who's like you're equal, you're not gonna be threatened by each other. It's gonna be perfect.
Yeah, that would be nice. It would be nice.
Okay, so no, we won't take up much more of your time. I wanted to finish with one last question, going back to ADHD neurodivergency. So, maybe for someone who feels like maybe they've been diagnosed, maybe they haven't, maybe they've always felt this way, and they've never sought help. Like they've been scared to do
Mhm.
therapy or whatever. Like, what advice would you have for that person?
So I think I've done a few Instagram posts on this actually, because I don't understand the stigma behind therapy. Like people are so focused on what they see on the outside when the most important thing is actually what's happening on the inside. And not all therapy is about digging up your childhood and you have to have trauma to have therapy. Like a lot of the time it is just actually life coaching and helping you get to the next step. Like I always advise if someone's going into a new job or something, like just have some therapy before. It doesn't mean like, oh, daddy never loved me. It's just having a professional help guide you so you can do the right things. And I
Yep.
also feel as well that personally for me, because I know that I used to do this when I was younger, before I was getting intense therapies that I've had, because I've had NLP therapy, hypnotherapy, and now in normal psych therapy for the last 7 years with the same therapist. But before that, I used to project my trauma onto other people. And it's like, okay, so you don't want to do it for yourself, but would you do it for your friends and family and people around you? Because what you are going through is affecting other people. But when it comes to like neurodivergency and stuff, because I've actually recently asked my therapist because of quite a few things that had come up, I basically was like, okay, just tell me, am I like autistic on top of everything else? Because, I get obsessions of like pens and stuff, and don't like people touch my pens and shit like that, and like an anger goes inside me. Someone moves something, I'm like, what's it yours to touch?
Yeah.
And then so my therapist was like, well, the waiting list at the moment is like, what, 3 years or whatever. And she's like, do you really need that label on top of everything else that you have?
Exactly.
And it's when I first started with this therapist, one of the first things I asked her was, could you help me change so I can be more normal around people? I was like, can I be someone else? Like, can you? And when I went into hypnotherapy as well, I always be like, could you just help me, like, be more normal?
Mm-hmm.
Like I just want to fit in, and I just want to be someone else. I want to be like the quieter person. Like, I don't want to be as loud. Like, I don't want to embarrass people around me anymore. Like, I want to change. I want to change. And now, secretly, slippery little gypsy, my therapist, has actually, now I noticed, said that basically, yeah, of course we'll do that. But what she's actually been doing, about me realizing until probably the last few years, is that she's actually just been making me help just love and accept who I am,
Yeah.
and removing people from my life who don't like it. And not having to be friends with everyone. You don't have to be. And ADHD people, neurodivergent people, always just want to be friends with everyone. I know everything. Blah, 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 blah. And it's actually setting those boundaries and helping myself be calmer, and being around less toxic people who don't get me means that I don't have to impress and peacock as much. And
Yep.
when I'm around my friends, I feel like I don't have to impress them, so I'm calmer anyway.
Exactly. Yep. I love your therapist because I can pick out good ones and bad ones, and I think that's exactly what I would say to somebody, because I've had that asked to me too. Like, can I stop feeling this emotion, or can I stop being this way? I don't want to be this way. And I love how your therapist was like, yeah, we'll do that in her mind, or his or her mind. Um, was like, no, we're not doing that. We're just going to make you more comfortable with yourself. And
Yeah.
you are going to then attract and keep around the people who love you for you. And then to you, it feels like maybe you fixed those things, but you just became more comfortable with who you are. And there is no normal. I say this almost every day when somebody's like, I just want to be normal, or I'm not normal, whatever. What is normal? What is it? Is it
But
fitting
I
into a
think this
box?
is something that I've asked myself since day one.
Yeah.
Like, I don't actually quite see or understand what normal is.
Because there isn't one.
Like,
It's social norms, I guess, is what you could identify it
yeah,
as. But those people that are doing that aren't always happy. They're doing it because
yeah,
they think it's what you're supposed to do, but they're not really living their
yeah,
lives for them.
yeah, that's true. That's true. I guess the only thing of ADHD that I wish I could change, but I refuse to go on tablets, is just the constant conversations in my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
That's
it just doesn't stop.
no. Yeah.
But I feel like I'm very good at masking it now. And instead of just like in horror looking into a corner, I can look into the corner with a bit more of a, and it's not as scary for people around me.
Yes. No. No. That's
But
that's
no,
awesome.
I just think therapy is amazing. It generally changed my life. I am so jealous of you being a therapist. If I had any different career, and if I wasn't dyslexic and I could have actually gone through university and stuff,
Yes.
and I had the thought of brain that could study, I always wanted to be a sex therapist.
Yeah.
And
I
I
know. It's funny
always
you say that. I
saw
just
myself. Have you seen Meet the Fockers?
yeah.
His mother.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yes, the mom.
That's what I want my future to be. I want to
That
be
is you in the
that
future.
woman. Like, I every time I watch that movie, I'm like, God, it's like looking in a mirror of what my different life want to be. Like,
That I could see that for sure. Like, That would be awesome. But I agree. I tell people all the time, therapy doesn't, like you said, doesn't have to be super intensive and go past
Doesn't.
through all your trauma. You could even have a short-term goal, right? I'm going to see a therapist for 3 months and work on these things. And it doesn't always have to be for years and years and years. Everybody's
It
different.
really doesn't have to be like
Yeah.
I specifically went into this therapy because there was something that I needed to sort out because I sorted out a lot of other stuff through different types of therapy. And I think 4 years into having this therapist, I started studying NLP therapy and hypnotherapy myself because I want to use it for more of helping people with eating disorders.
Yes. Yep.
Because that would be more my goal as well to help, like, so where did this eating disorder come from and pick at someone's brain. But there was a stage when I was studying that my therapist decided to tell me that she thinks I don't need therapy anymore, which the messages I sent her, why are you abandoning me? First of all,
Yes.
number one. And then I was like, well, can we just call once a week to gossip? Was my other question. And I think it began with what in the message. And she was like, yeah, I think you're on a really good path right now. Like, I don't think there's much I can do. I'm like, you don't think, or like, ooh, ooh, girl. Oh, wow. And then I sent her articles on separation anxiety, being like, you should know about this. You should know.
I know. And we've had that conversation before too. And it does feel like it's the ultimate compliment, right? Because it's like I feel like
Nope.
I've
I'm like, you're
feel like
abandoning
nope, nope.
me.
You have the tools, you can do this. But yes, it is scary. And but like that is a compliment for your
Yeah,
therapist.
it's because I would like write to her being like, okay, Sam, like this just happened, like this just happened, and then is it because like I went into my prefrontal and went into my childhood, and this is where I can stem back from? So they had a dopamine spike because my ADHD, this and the distance, and I like broke it down, and she'd be like, yes, you just need validation. I'm like, thank you.
That's all.
That's all I needed. Thank you so much. She's like, well done. I'm like, good. Like,
I love the approval.
yeah, that's all I needed was the approval and validation. Thank you.
Well, Tzarina, this has been amazing. Do you have any final questions or thoughts?
I mean, you've been talking too much, so maybe you should calm down
Could you quiet
a
down a little bit over there?
Sorry, guys. That's my bad.
bit.
I'll shut up for a while.
Yeah.
So, a few minutes ago, you were talking about being sober now. How long did you say you've been sober?
Well, it's not really a story I've opened up about, actually.
Oh, okay.
It was something that I was definitely battling before I was 19, and I actually went through a bit of a program. But I guess what I will say is that like alcohol was never really my problem.
Okay.
But my therapist is going to watch this and be like, bullshit. And but I guess I used alcohol as like the middle ground for what I guess I wanted. But then I became sober off the other thing around 19 years old, and now I had a slip up in my late 20s, and that's when I started, well, late early 20s, probably about, yeah, 25, 26. I'm going to say early 20s. um, that's when I got this therapist, and she actually, yeah, I got her when I was at the lowest stage of my 20s, when I've just been basically clean for like 5, 6 years, apart from like a few alcoholic drinks here and there. And we laughed yesterday about it, actually, because I've come such a far, like, long way now. Like, even with alcohol, like, I'm not really too bothered. And on the phone with her, I was talking about how a friend came to visit, and they were like, oh, maybe we could just do like one night out. And I was like, why? Like, I
Yeah.
can't be asked to drink. I don't want to feel like shit the next day. When me 5 years ago would be that person going, we should go out tonight, tomorrow night, and then we should do this. Or should we like start with mimosas? Like, let's do bottomless brunch. And like everything was evolved around like alcohol or getting what I wanted. And, and now I think I'm always going to go through phases, but
Yeah.
I'm definitely at a stage now where I'm not too bothered. The only things I can't get off are the vapes.
Mm, yeah.
And
Okay.
that's like more suction than a 90-year-old prostitute. Like I'm on it constantly. Like, and I've tried quitting. I tried going down to like less. Sorry, guys. I tried going down to like less amounts of nicotine, then stopping, then having lollipops and nicotine patches. And it's the one thing that if something pisses me off, I'm just
Yeah.
vape is straight in there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry if that brought up anything that you didn't want to be brought up, but
You know, I'm really pissed off with you right now. I actually
he
You're
asked one
no,
fine.
no, I
question.
don't
He
mind.
pisses me
I
off.
think I think it's fairly obvious that I'm like an open book and like I know that I have a story to tell. It's just with online, you never know,
Yeah.
and I feel like there's still so much inside me that I want to open up about and share about my story that I know would probably help others, but I just don't know if I'm at the mental state to like have someone like turn around and be like crack whore, and or something like you never know what people are going to do online, and I just feel like I'm in a really good place, and I just don't feel like I want to put something in it to mix up something.
Yes. Yeah, and it's totally your call, right? And no, you don't owe anybody that.
No.
And the internet will always bring out, the worst and the best. And you just have to, if you're not wanting to see that, then you don't owe that to anybody.
I think it's safe to say that most ADHD people have struggled with addiction, or divergent people in some way or another, be it alcohol, drugs, marijuana. It was a huge one for my other friend with ADHD that I've now, with my journey, managed to get them off marijuana, being like you're just using it as a stable and teaching about, how the brain works with drugs and everything. And going through it actually helps me more with my clients and my friends, helping them realize,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you know the pain
Yep.
that you have to go through, and like the separation of it. It's addiction's crazy. Like, and also how long it actually takes the brain to heal 100% after addiction.
Yep.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I'm 10 months.
Why? Which one were you on? Tell me everything. Tell me your story, Mr. Quiet Guy. Haven't
I
said anything.
I am in recovery from alcohol. I am 10 months sober.
Well done, Muzzle Tough. Good
Thank
on
you.
you.
Yeah.
What can I ask like a personal question? Like, did you hit a rock bottom, or did someone just say to you, like, mate, this is too much? Or did you get like a girl pregnant? What was it that like because there's always something, isn't there, that you normally or you just fed up of feeling shit.
It was there wasn't like one situation
Mm,
or something that happened. It was more of, so you guys were talking about like how you said you were a bad liar earlier. I couldn't relate to that because I'm a very practiced liar with like
mm,
protecting when I was drinking, protecting like how much I was drinking, how often I was drinking, all of that stuff. But I just the last like year or so I was drinking, I was just going down and down and down and down. And then I was talking with my brother-in-law one night, and I had always lied to him about how much I drank. And then
mm,
he asked, because he always asked me, and he asked me that night, and I just told him the truth because I think on some level I was, like they say, sick and tired of being sick and tired. Um, so then that was Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I get a call from him. He's like, "Hey, come outside, get in the car." I'm like, okay. And I get in the car, go to my parents' house. Everyone's there, and they kind of sat me down and just told me like, "Hey, we don't know if you actually know this, but you're drinking a lot, and to a point where you can't stop without going somewhere. Otherwise, it might kill you." So, and that was a point where I knew I didn't have to go anywhere. I wasn't arrested. I didn't have to do anything, but I did because I think I was just tired. So long answer,
mm.
but yeah, I was just tired of what addiction was doing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is a depressant,
Mm.
you
Yeah.
know? And so like being like in your sobriety now, like how many months did it take you to actually start seeing light again. Because I always say that my memories of addiction, I look back and it's all in black and white, and then there's a stage where you start seeing color.
It was probably around 5 or 6 months because I think I know what you're talking about, where
Mhm.
you go from like it just kind of sitting there being like, okay, I'm sober. How do I do this? I'm sober. How do I do this? Like, just that's just going through my head all day. And then it finally I started to like branch out a little bit more, felt more like myself around that time.
Yeah, it's also the amount of people that you lose in friend groups as well, because you're often the fun drinker guy, and then you realize actually how toxic some of the closest people in your life are to you.
Yeah.
It is a breakup. It's a painful breakup. Have you tried hypnotherapy?
I have not. I was going to ask you about that. How did that,
Do it.
should I?
Do it. Because also with hypnotherapy at the end, they can help you produce more like dopamine and oxytocin. So you literally come out and like the sky's greener and everything's better, and it helps you get out of the depressive state. But it also helps you realize that you are on the right path and helps you keep up with it. I would always suggest hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy and NLP therapy were mainly for addiction and trauma for me,
Yep.
Hmm.
because you also need to know where that addiction came from, because addiction comes from some sort of trauma in your past.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm slowly learning all of these things. I've been
Yeah.
going to AA ever since.
Yeah.
It's very helpful. It's very scary at the same time because once you get further in the steps, you have to open up a lot more and you have to
Oh,
really look
yeah.
at yourself. It's hard because it's a lot of things I didn't want to look at.
You don't want to look at it, but at the same time, it's you hear other people's stories and you can't compare. Everyone's like rock bottom or story is so different level to anyone else's,
Yep.
and just never be ashamed of what you went through. You have to just be proud of what you've been through and how you've come out of it.
Yeah.
Like the past is the past, and you just have to be like, oh yeah, I did do that,
Yeah.
and just don't feel ashamed. There's no shame with it. Addiction takes over. That wasn't you. That was the alcohol. It wasn't you.
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
Yep. And genetics is a big part of it too.
Yeah.
Oh
Like
yes. Oh
working
yes.
again, nothing's 100% the reason, but like we've talked about this before, like being brother and sister, we like have always viewed alcohol different. We talked
Oh
about it
yeah.
the other day, like because all of and we can our family we can drink around him because like I'm not a huge drinker. I'll have like one or two, and he said he's fine with that. And what the other day he's like, I just don't understand how you drink alcohol and you just have like one glass of wine and you can be done. And I'm like, yeah.
It still makes no sense to me that someone can just sit down and have a drink.
No.
Like, oh, good for the night. Like, I
So
want 29 more, and then I can go to sleep.
Yeah.
for me, I only let myself drink if I'm in a really good place and I can go and have one or two drinks and I'm happy. Already got those happy hormones in me. I don't feel a big like woo spike. If I'm depressed and I have an alcoholic drink and it's the only thing that makes me feel better, then I won't stop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So that's kind of where I am at the moment. It's that like if I'm in a really good space, I don't have work to do tomorrow or have too much on my mind, I'm really happy. I'll let myself have one or two drinks. But otherwise, yeah. If I'm feeling down, it's too much of a spike for me to be like, okay, well, I constantly want this feeling,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah. And that's
Mm.
an incredible, like, self holding yourself to that, right? And I talk to my clients about this too. Of like, sometimes
Mm.
that's the hardest thing of like, you know what you should do. It's the hardest part is doing it, like you said, like I'm feeling depressed. It'd be really easy to go drink right now, but I'm going to
Mm.
not do that. Like that is a tough thing. So kudos.
Yeah.
Like, you should give yourself a pat on the back for that because that's not an easy thing
Mm.
for people to do.
My therapist made me sit through pain,
Yep. Hmm.
motherfucker. And so bitch. So I love her. She's literally just tagged me in something on Instagram, whatever. And it's probably like recovering. um, but no, she basically, because I was having really bad dips after my first season of Below Deck, I came out of a narcissistic relationship. And I couldn't move from bed. My mum had to fly in and help me. I couldn't do anything. And even my mum, who my mum and dad don't drink, my mum even was like, just have a vodka. You know, like we need to do something to get you out. And I spiraled as well with other substances as well when I was with this person because my head was spinning out from, you know, narcissistic abuse and whatever. So the head, we don't need to get into it. But my therapist after that bad patch was like, okay, Zarian, we're going to try something different. And she basically was like, when you're feeling shit in bed and can't move, because I also get ADHD burnout as well. And it's like trying to identify, like, am I depressed or is it ADHD burnout? Which one is it? But now she makes me sit in my pain.
Yep.
So I basically, now, if I'm feeling down or have burnout or whatever, I have to like sit in bed and reflect, wonder why, do my affirmations, appreciate it, be like, I have my legs, I have my hands, I have this incredible brain that doesn't just let me laugh, doesn't just let me cry, but lets me feel all these emotions that I've been put on this earth to feel all these emotions. And I'm so lucky.
Oh, I love that. You're so good. It's just yeah, and that's tough, right? And that's what I always say to people like when I
Oh, I'm not saying it's fun. I said it with a
right, yeah.
smile. When
Not
you're in the
fun,
moment, you're like,
yeah, not
I'm
easy.
happy.
Yep, but it's like the long term. You have to look at the long term because those dopamine spikes, those are the short term. Those are the band-aids, right? But doing the work you're doing is a long-term fix where you will feel better for longer and it's just hard, but doing the hard work does pay off.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been in such a good mental state.
Good.
And feel like I'm actually in control of things. It's been an incredible journey with my therapist. It
All
really
right.
has.
Well,
And you're
cool.
gonna get there.
Yeah. No, he's
You're
doing
gonna be amazing.
we're
You are amazing. You are.
Thank you.
Well, this has been amazing.
This has
Thank you so much. Like, I just wanted to say, like, and I hope you're okay with me saying this. Like, Zarina actually reached out to us, and we, like, because of that episode, like you talked about at the
Yeah,
beginning, we talked about the food, and
yeah.
couldn't be more grateful to you because our listeners hear us say all the time how lazy we are, and pushed us to do this, and so now you are going to, push us doing this and doing more interviews and
Well,
uh,
you should. You should. Like, there's so many people that I'm sure will be very excited to speak with you. But yeah, you guys actually in a bad time for me when I was in bed, ADHD, burnout, depressed a few weeks ago because of coming off the back of the season. And obviously, there wasn't great press the whole time. But
yeah.
having so many people send over your podcast and all the lovely things that you said about me, I knew that I just had to reach out to you guys straight away because I felt like you helped me get out of bed and start a new chapter, the chapter that I'm going through now, and I wouldn't be able to do it without you guys and listening to all the kind words that you said. So I'm really appreciative.
That's like the biggest compliment
yeah,
ever.
wow.
It really is. Like, thank you so much. And we mean it. We say it all the time. Like, we're honest on the podcast. We're not trying to get clicks because of drama and things like that. And we're also not going to be like, I love everybody and everybody's great. Like, we really do love you, and we loved you even on the season before, and you and Aisha, your relationship, and we said this in the episode, your cooking like does not get enough kudos, because of all the other things that happen. And so that's what we just wanted to make sure we pointed that out of like, hey, Zarina like rocked it this season with the cooking along with everything else that was going on.
I
So
know.
credit.
There was so much drama that, like, there
Yeah.
was so many courses and dishes every night. I was like, I understand it's not the Tsarina cooking show, and
It
I
is for us.
understand it. But but yeah, there were so many things I was like, but they can't show everything, and
Yeah.
the drama is so like important because that's what gets people watching because it's a dopamine spike.
Well, we'll watch the Zarina
So,
cooking show if there ever is one, and then we'll make a
well,
pod.
hopefully there will be one in the future.
No.
So fingers crossed.
All right, Zarina. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys.